The Utah Mammoth is sorta proud to present Nashcast.
What the is a Nashcast?
Nashcast, the only hockey show on the planet. Hosted by a human speed bag, fourth line wannabe, healthy scratch, Schnazzy Moto, Tyson Nash.
Who the hell is Tyson Nash?
Never heard of him.
And the baritone with a brain, the Velvet Hammer, Mr. Silky, Tono Suave, the radio voice of your Utah Mammoth,
Code Blue!
Mike Folta.
Oh, Captain, my Captain!
Nashcast begins now.
Ready for takeoff.
Here's Tyler Ganoush and Mickey Foghorn. Wait, what? Oh, here's Tyson Nash and Mike Folta.
Feeling good. Holy Folksy, what's up? You look like Johnny Cash. Black on black. You got the black background there. I see you're at the Utah Mammoth practice rink. The boys, I guess, just got off the ice, getting ready for a big tilt as we tape this. The Edmonton Oilers, big game. Could be a playoff matchup, right? If they hang on, and I think they will, the way this team is playing to that number one wild card spot, they will switch over to the Pacific Division, and they could very well face the Edmonton Oilers, the pesky Edmonton Oilers.
There's no such thing as a radio guy taking the option, Nasher. So I'm here at the practice facility, and you know, we're recording this before the Mammoth play the Oilers Tuesday night. If the Mammoth don't want to face Edmonton in the first round, then winning the game against the Oilers Tuesday night is vitally important. Up until Tuesday night, Utah has never beaten Edmonton, Tyson. And I don't know about you, but Connor McDavid and potentially Leon Draisaitl back from injury, not a tandem I want to see in the postseason.
Yeah, and when you think of it all, right, even if they finish in the second wild card spot, I mean, you look at the teams that they potentially would have to face. I mean, no one wants to face Colorado, Minnesota, not a chance. So yeah, the Edmonton Oilers, I think the best hope, and you can't plan it, right? You just the hockey, it's up to the hockey gods. I mean, I think the best matchup would obviously be the Anaheim Ducks, in my mind. I know you have a different maybe opinion just because of the success that Utah's had against Colorado. I don't think you're worried about much with the Utah Mammoth right now, especially the way they're playing. So hopefully that carries on. And they, first of all, get the playoff spot, get in. That's all that matters. I can't even imagine. I have watched this team for so long. No one is going to be more happy than I will be to see this team get into the playoffs. I cannot wait for the Delta Center to see that building rocking and rolling. Are you kidding me? It's bad enough and loud enough in the regular season. Wait till playoffs hit. I can't imagine what Ryan and Ashley Smith have in store, and the concourses outside before, after the game. I mean, this city and this town better be ready to party.
Yeah, it's funny. We keep looking at the odds, right? And the odds are all just kind of made up, but the analytics folks always publish like, oh, this team has a 99% chance to make the playoffs. And that's what Utah's at right now. It's like 99% chance to get into the postseason. And you talk to the people who had been in Arizona, Tyson, and they're like, I don't buy it. I'll believe it when I see it. Like there's some scar tissue there coming out of the rebuild in Arizona, obviously.
Is that Matt McConnell doing the math?
I'm not putting any names to it.
Yeah,
I'm not
Michigan State. God help us all.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Michigan State math. So I don't put a lot of stock into that. But Tyson, Utah's been in this first wild card spot since I think February 2nd. Like that's where you want to be. I mean, I think Utah matches up well with Colorado. I don't want to see Colorado and Nathan McKinnon. Are you kidding me?
Then you get the Oilers.
Keep them in the other bracket. But Utah is in a really good spot. And yeah, the Oilers are starting to play better, but all you can worry about is your own self this time of year, right?
Yeah. And for me, quite honestly, I now that I'm thinking about it and I'm actually using my brain for
Lord help us.
For a little more. Yeah, I know. You'll see the smoke, but when you think of the Edmonton Oilers, right? I mean, what's going on there? I don't mind facing them at all, right? I mean, yes, you got McDavid, potentially Draisaitl, but after that, it drops off in a big, big way. Not quite like San Jose after Celebrini. I think the next closest point is Smith with like 51 less points than Celebrini. But I will say this: you got Connor Ingram. I think that would be an interesting matchup. He's their number one goaltending. Goaltending is still a frickin' problem in Edmonton. How I don't get it. I just don't. The money, you have to use it on a goaltender. It's the most important position in the game. And they literally have Connor Ingram, which he was in Phoenix. He was in Utah, right? And now he's the number one goaltender. Happy for him. Great guy. Unbelievable human and a great goaltender. But that's your number one guy. They don't have a lot of depth. No more Corey Perry. They don't have Brown. Like guys that have some sandpaper that you're going to need in the playoffs, right? So you shut down or at least limit Connor McDavid and Draisaitl. I like your chances.
Well, Utah has been rolling recently, coming off a road swing with a couple big wins against Seattle, against Vancouver. Tyson, the Mammoth have long been one of the best 5-on-5 teams this season in the league. Now the power play is like 50% over the last 6 games or something like that. I mean, the power play is connecting. You're scoring a ton of goals at 5-on-5 and on the power play. I mean, it feels like this group is clicking into gear, especially offensively at the right time.
You are, and that's the whole key, right? You want to go into the playoffs on a high. You can't just turn it on and off like a light switch. You just can't. And the power play, special teams, you win or lose games. That's the bottom line. And again, back to the Edmonton comparison. If you stay disciplined and you don't take penalties, that is also where Edmonton scores a lot of their goals. Is the power play, best power play in the National Hockey League by a mile. But for the Utah Mammoths, they are rolling right now. And this is something, Fultz, that hasn't happened for a million years. As long as I've been following this team pretty much, they failed in these moments, these big games. They're big guns. The team found a way to lose instead of finding ways to win. And right now they are winning these games and they are rolling. And I mean rolling right into the playoffs. So hopefully that continues.
And the big boys are leading the way too. Clayton Keller with a hat trick against Vancouver on Saturday, the third of his NHL career. It's crazy. Like he's going to have a close to an 80-point season with like 2 or 3 power play goals. Like he's done a lot of this damage at even strength. And another feather in his cap is him and Schmaltz. Sergachev has been red hot. He had 4 assists last week in a game against I think it was against LA. I'm trying to remember who else, like Cooley and Gunther are pouring them in. It's just, but they're leading from the front, Tyson, and it's those big guys who are stepping up to the plate in these moments.
How bad, first of all, I got a couple questions for you. How bad was Vancouver? I mean, they are so hard to watch. I've done a few games with Vancouver this year with Amazon, and it is hard to watch. Like that team, zero. I mean, absolutely zero identity. You got Pedersen making $11.5 million, and I don't even think he has 50 points. I mean, that is just absolutely gross what is going on in Vancouver. I was drafted there. It's an amazing, amazing city. I know you were just there. I was so jealous. All the pictures, Stanley Park, the mountains. You even found your way to church, Fultz. I loved it. So I love to see you getting some church in on the road, I believe. So
it was Easter weekend. It was Easter weekend. I had to. And then, Stanley Park, what a spot. Like I was thinking of doing one thing. I think if I go back next year, when we go back next year, Tyson, I think I want to do one of those seaplane tours. It's $170 Canadian. It's basically free. And they'll take you up in one of those seaplanes that are always taking off and landing in the harbor. It looks incredible.
Yeah. You got to do that, and you got to go to Victoria is where you have to go. Yeah. It's like you said, it's under a couple $100. You zip over to Victoria. You go see Bouchard Gardens. Throw a few smiles around, Fultz. You're a single guy. Are you kidding me? They'll love you over in Victoria. Or you head up to Whistler, grab the float plane or whatever, right? And make the most of those road trips. I saw you hit Cardero's, one of my favorite restaurants on the road as well. So I was frothing at the mouth. I was so jealous of you guys. I know Matt McConnell definitely didn't pick up another tab or a tab. Because that's never, ever, ever happened. But go ahead, buddy.
No, I was just gonna say Cardero's is like my favorite spot. Like I make it a big deal. I'm not a big seafood guy, but their fish is incredible. And
Cedar
so
plank salmon.
oh, see, okay, that's the most popular thing on the menu, Tyson. The best thing on the menu, as any Cardero server worth their salt will tell you, is their blackened sablefish. It's like a cod.
Wow.
It's caught deep in the water, fresh caught. Oh, it just falls right off your fork. It is unbelievable. And like I said, I'm not even a big fish guy, but this stuff is next level. So yeah, big meal. It was a big night out for the broadcast team. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, you guys sounded like money as usual. So I'm glad you guys shook off the. You must have been drinking the good stuff. So anyway, Fultz, I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean, so much going on.
Yeah.
My other question is, who is going to get that second wild card spot? If Utah holds on to
Oh.
the first spot, who's getting the second one? I mean, it is so tight. LA's in the picture. I mean, everyone's still in the picture. It's going to come down to that last game. You know, the last game, not only the last game, but it's got to be a couple tiebreakers deep too, is going to decide who gets in and out.
LA, San Jose won't go away. Nashville's been in the discussion the last couple weeks. Like St. Louis is fighting to be in the mix. They just beat Colorado the other night. Like it is crazy how this race is playing out. And it's weird because it's not like everybody's winning and catching each other, Tyson. It's that everybody's losing and they keep opening the door for the team behind them. And so
exactly. Like
it's a total
Columbus.
mess.
What have they lost? Like 6 or 7 in a row. I mean, the Islanders, another team, they just fired their coach. Like it's Patrick Waugh is out. DeBoer is in. Like I can't believe what I'm seeing right now in the National Hockey League with the shuffling of the coaches. The one thing I don't like though is just reusing all these old coaches over and over. Is there not a guy in the American Hockey League that is on the rise, or junior, or anywhere, college, that can't coach in the National Hockey League? I don't 100% understand it. I thought Tortorella was done. I thought his whole thing, it's getting a little bit tired, right? And maybe it works for Vegas. I guess we're going to find out. But anyway, it's fascinating to me.
What do you think of the DeBoer stuff? Because we thought Bruce Cassidy was fired late in the year, and then Patrick Waugh gets canned with 4 games left in the regular season, while the Islanders are 3rd in the Metropolitan Division. And they bring in Pete DeBoer, who all the guy does is go to conference finals. He's been to the Stanley Cup finals twice. I think he's been a Pete DeBoer team has been in the Western Conference finals like 6 of the last 8 years between Vegas and Dallas. It's insane. It's insane. But like you said, he is a retread. He's a guy who's been around the league. It seems as if his messaging at some point kind of wears guys down, because he's clearly an excellent coach when it comes to tactics and X's and O's. Like he gets his teams in deep playoff runs, and the Islanders are thinking that they can have one of those this year, but you have to think the next couple
they get
years
in
as well. Well, right.
But, I mean, they're doing everything, and that's I did the Islander Philadelphia game Friday, last Friday as we tape this, and it was the biggest game of the year for both those teams, and they both were coming off of 2 losses in a row, and there was not a heartbeat, a 0 heartbeat from the New York Islanders at home too. By the way, on a Friday night, they had nothing, absolutely 0 in the tank. Ended up losing that game. Goaltending was just horrific. Couldn't stop a beach ball, Sorokin. And, bottom line is something, I guess, had to change. I mean, 4 games, everyone's scratching their head. But when you have a chance to bring in a DeBoer, as you mentioned, all he does is win and get into the playoffs and do damage in the playoffs. There's something special there. And I will say this about Torts, too. And I don't know if he's going to be a long-term fix in Vegas, but talking to a lot of players that have had Torts, they hate him while he's the coach, but then they realize later in their careers how much he actually meant to them and their careers. He says the hard things, right? No, you're not going to be best friends at the end of the day, but you're certainly going to know where you stand with Tortorella, and I think that's a real important thing.
So NHL coaches are renting; they're not buying anymore because you lose a couple games, boom. There could be a guy coming in behind you. But How about this? There was a note that came from NHL PR, Tyson. Do you see this? That Andre Tourney is just the second coach ever to have their win total increase in each of their first 5 seasons as an NHL head coach. The only other coach to have had more wins each of his first 5 years, Paul Maurice. Pretty good company
Wow.
there for the Bear.
Well, yes, 1,000%. I love Bear. I absolutely love him. I do. I think it's a little bit skewed. First of all, that's how you keep your job, right? Is you get better. The minute you take a step back, you're
Yeah.
done. But this team has been rebuilding for 100 years, right? 7 years. So you better be getting better and better and better. But the fact is, he has made them better, right? And that's the bottom line. As you mentioned, they are now on their way to the playoffs. We hope they're so close. I think you said it was like a 98% chance
Yeah.
that they get into the playoffs. And the thing I do love about Bear is that he has those intangibles of a Tortorella and a DeBoer, for the fact that he's a player's coach because you always know where you stand. And I think that is so important. I don't care if you're in hockey, in business, in sales, you have to know where you stand, right? I mean, that is like, I don't know, business 101 in my mind. And as a player, I had some coaches that you were walking around on eggshells because you didn't know. You literally did not know where you stood. I mean, you knew if you played good or bad, but you didn't know if the coaches were happy with you, and you just walked around like in a fog, basically. Instead of, obviously Andre Tourney is very active. Communication is a big part of his coaching philosophy, and it works, right? And happy for him. You couldn't have a better coach for the Utah Mammoth.
I got to ask you, and we are going to get to our guest here in a little bit, Scotty Upshaw, the Updog. He was a part of our Nashcast Altcast a couple weeks back. But I got to ask you, Tyson, like if you're in the locker room, if you're in the dressing room and a coach changes with a week left in the regular season, I mean, what does that do to the players? Like, how do you react to that? Is it a case where you're trying to impress the new guy, so that's where you get a bit of a bump? Or is it just too chaotic? Like, how do you imagine that unfolding for the players?
I think it's a massive bump, right? This is a new opportunity. I don't care if you've been playing good or bad leading up to this. You're going to play your best stuff and have your best game when you step on that ice at the start of his coaching, whatever. So it's one of those things that I think that's what they're looking for, right? At this time of the year, 4 games left. I don't think he's going to come in and recreate the wheel by any means. I think he just, wants to see what you're all about. And if you want to play and you play well, I mean, whatever he thinks of you as a player, Fultz, you have an opportunity, a new lease on life to show the coach what you're capable of. And who knows, maybe you go from 12 minutes a night to 18 minutes a night, right? I think coaches don't care. They're in the winning industry, right? And that's what it's all about. So.
Well, that's what the New York Islanders are looking for. Mammoth are looking for 3 wins this week. They play Edmonton Tuesday, so by the time this comes out, they'll have already played. Then Carolina on Saturday, but then before that, a big one against Nashville tomorrow on Thursday. Tyson, we'll get to Scotty here in a little bit. The Mammoth almost clinching that playoff spot. I want to remind fans to follow along on Instagram. That's at Nashcast Official on Instagram. How many? What's the follower count up to, Tyson? What are we at now?
I think we just hit 6,200. So that was huge. We're humming. Obviously, big credit to Scotty Upshaw, the Updog, Shane O'Brien for having me on the podcast, and of course, Spitting Chicklets supporting us as we kind of find our way, right? And that's literally what this is all about. I mean, followers, it's not easy. This is an absolute animal. I get PTSD.
You were begging people at
literally.
The airport.
It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. People that have never even heard of us, but we're starting to get some traction, and that's super cool, right? Like all our hard work, all our shows, all our clips on Instagram, as you mentioned, Nashcast Official. On Instagram, on YouTube, all the social channels, people are starting to take notice, and that is huge, right? And it's been a lot of work, but a lot of fun, and it doesn't even feel like a real job, just because this is kind of how I am in real life, right? I'm just an idiot going around talking to people, cracking jokes, busting balls. Like that's what I do, except we got a podcast surrounding it. So it's been a ton of fun. And I hope everyone enjoys this Scotty Upshall video and podcast, excuse me. I got the marbles in my mouth today, buddy. I can't spit out a full sentence. Thank God I'm not on the broadcast tonight like you are tonight, but it's been fun to watch. I'm coming to town soon. Can't wait. I'll be there for the Carolina game. So that'll be a ton of fun, buddy.
Can't wait. Let's not keep Scotty waiting anymore. Here is Scotty Upshall, the Updog on the Nashville.
Oh, we got our guest.
All right, Scotty Upshall, welcome to the show. Fort McMurray, Alberta, Nashville Predators, first round pick, 6th overall. Look at this good-looking sucker. How are you, brother?
He might be on mute.
I'm here, boys. Can you hear me?
We got you. We got you.
Nice to see you, boys. Although I can't see you, what I see is a video of my beautiful little daughter Izzy, who wanted to say hi.
Wow. Oh, man. Look at this. Look, that's a movie star right there. Look at that.
So I asked her, I said, who's your favorite player? I asked her that right before. What did you say?
I couldn't remember.
She couldn't remember. It had something along the lines of Biz Nasty.
Oh, yeah, man. Is she?
I don't know what kind of influence you are on her, but
she might need glasses, Uppy. She might need glasses. Have you taken her to the doctor, the eye doctor?
Yeah, she's got good eyes. By the way, she's the only girl on her all baseball T-ball team, which I coach third base, that hits the coach pitch, first pitch every time. So it's pretty impressive. Wow. I don't know where she gets the eye-hand coordination. It might be from her mom.
Oh yeah.
I also saw is your son skating already, right?
Yeah, Beckham's right here too, boys. They wanted to say hi. He's a little shy now. I had him down to meet McDavid and Draisaitl about 2 weeks ago.
That.
And he was so fired up. I took him out of school. We went down at the Ducks rink for pregame skate. And as soon as they walked up, he just went closed-lipped, like eyes wide open. I'm like, say something. He's like, all he does is say McDavid. He's a big fan.
So naturally, he's just an Oilers fan? I mean, you probably did you grow up an Oilers fan?
Biz, I did, yeah. Fort McMurray.
Figured, yeah. Well, I thought
we're
either
4
there or
hours
Calgary.
north of Edmonton. The closest thing from the oil sands was Northlands Coliseum back in the day. So my first game was with my dad. We saw Gretzky play his first or second year. This is like 90. Nasher, you'd know that. You're older. We watched Gretzky play. I remember vividly, like 10 rows back behind Bill Ranford. Gretzky had the biscuit behind the net, doing his magic in his office. So I remember that with my dad back in the day. And Beckham, for some reason, he's just taken a liking to the Oilers. I got all these different colored jerseys in the house. Obviously, I played on 7 different teams. And he's an Oiler guy. What can I say? He's an Oiler guy. Although we're sporting this. And this is because my boy, pride of Thunder Bay, Ontario, Robert Bertuzzo. I went in to see him last year at the Delta Center. What a spot, by the way. And what a lounge Ryan Smith has there beneath the stands.
It's great.
We'll be there in about 16 minutes and 11 seconds. We'll be in that suite.
I already put a couple bottles of top shelf booze inside this jacket.
By the way, they make the best sliders in there, the best fries. They got a great old fashioned. The thing is done proper. Ryan Smith does everything right.
We just had a burger and fries. Uppy, besides that, how's retirement been? How have you been enjoying the other side of it?
It's awesome, Biz. Hey, listen, you too. One sec. Watch this. Time for these kiddos to go to bed. Hey, can you guys run over and go see Mom?
Well, as long as you don't make me read them a book to go to bed or something.
He's got an audio book. That's all Biz has got.
They're way smarter than their dad. They read themselves. What was that? What was your question, Biz? Retirement's great. As you guys know, you're both in the same sort of business, leaving the game. The podcast world is great. It keeps us involved. Missing Curfew's going on 5 years. It's just a wonderful thing to still be involved and talk hockey and tell stories and travel. You know me. You guys know me very, very well.
Oh, yeah.
I love the road. So getting out on these little fella tours and seeing fans and talking to guys, going to the rink, going to have nice dinners, We don't stay in as good of hotels as we used to, though, Biz. But,
Oh, I love a La Quinta.
don't
tempt me with a
little
free-
Humpton Inn, but yeah.
Hey, we got Heater here too, the Heat Monster.
Heat Daddy. Hey, Heater.
Uppy.
You brought me down memory lane there in the first period, brother. This goes way back. You said some great things about Nasher and Biz, but I got to give you credit. The year I tore my ACL, I was having a hell of a year too, by the way. It was very unfortunate. Drew Doughty took my knees out.
I remember.
I got to go up in the booth with you, brother. We
Yes.
called the whole series against Detroit Red Wings when we ended up losing in the first round. But the experience I had then, sitting doing color with you on the radio, and getting to know, Todd Walsh, who you guys just had on, who's an incredible human being. The whole experience of, getting up there, watching you do magic. You take your notes. I know you got a game sheet there. The boys were talking about that. You probably got 5 of them. The way you handled yourself, bro, it called a game. No one did it better. The Coyotes were lucky to have you for so long. And it's nice to be part of this show, Nasher. You're doing a great thing. And I'm happy to see it. You're in a great organization in a great city. And this is good stuff.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say thanks for those kind words. It's very, very nice of you. And I vividly remember that. And I felt so bad that you couldn't play, but I was so, happy to have you with me because you're a natural. We had a good time. And the Coyotes almost upset the Wings. I think if Donor could have stayed healthy.
Played in Game 7. How about that?
Yeah. But I'm just really, happy and proud for you of what you've been able to accomplish in the media after your career.
Absolutely.
And it's awesome. I mean, you could tell back then when, we would interview you that you certainly were very good at that and you had a great personality. And I'm just happy that you're able to do that after hockey. And you and Obi there and Missing Curfew, that's a great podcast. And so congratulations.
Thank you. Well, one thing is, one thing I always lived and died by is, the game is so special, right? You meet so many great people and you play with so many great guys. The trip happens way too fast, right? You want another day, on vacation with the guys, which is our careers. And when it ends, you really have one thing, and that's, your teammates and the way people think of you and tell stories about you and remember the good times and the bad times, the fights, the goals, the losses and the wins. But, you leave the game, you hope you left an impact on people like yourself and your teammates. And that was one thing I always prided on. And I don't know who told me that back in the day, but, it's something that you see it in younger kids where you're like, this guy gets it. And it doesn't take too long. Other kids come in and it takes them a little bit to either get their feet wet or feel comfortable in, making sure they take care of the trainers and, they're saying the right things, they're doing the right things, they're being a pro. Organizing rookie parties, Biz, that's a big part of the job.
That was one of my few responsibilities. I actually had to contribute.
The jukebox.
Yeah, I was going to say the music too.
I had to contribute to the team project, as they say.
Yeah, you were the only DJ in the NHL to just do that Buck Diddy all the time too. By the way, clothes were always optional for you when you get up to that iPod back in.
I want to go back to the start. So I think I remember all the teams you played for. You started in Nashville, then it was off to Philly, where you ended up, you played with Loops in both locations, who you were very close with. Just, you guys were 2 peas in a pod, man. It was probably a pretty cool start to your career to not only play with a close buddy, but also then go over to Philly and a couple cool markets. You get like a pretty traditional market in Philly, but to start it out in Nashville, what was it like?
Yeah, I got a taste of it all. Nashville was very unique. I often look at the Utah Mammoth right now and think, this was me back in 2002, going into a team where, the fan base were itching for some hockey, right? And the guys, on most of our days off, if we weren't going to a hospital, we were going to a school in East Side Nashville where culture was different, and you were teaching the game of hockey to kids. You were teaching the game of hockey to fans, and that experience for me was what I remember was it was a little overwhelming, right? You come from Canada, and hockey's everywhere. It's all over the walls. It's on posters in your bedroom, and you look at the way Nashville's turned into a hockey hotbed and an entertainment city. And we caught that firsthand early. Like Tutu was a big reason why hockey is what it is in Nashville. He was a guy that, he played his balls off every night, and he got people to stand up and cheer, whether it was fighting or hitting. If he scored a goal, it was entertainment. But we were all right away, like that Barry Trotz, David Poyle, who were both there. They laid a pretty good little, sort of ground base to be, hey guys, you're going to influence this city for years to come, and there's a lot of responsibility with that. But overall, like, the experience was great. Nashville was an amazing city to be 19 and 20 in. Felt like you're in college. And I acted most times like I was in college, but it was Nashville. It was probably your favorite place to visit on the road back in those early 2000s. I mean, everyone was at the Tin Roof, no matter if it was two teams coming in and bypassing each other to play us. We were always there. I don't know how many legends of the game, like the Steve Yzermans and Brett Hull and, Kachuk, they'd all be at the Tin Roof right after the game. I'm like, how did you guys beat me here? That's impressive.
We wouldn't shower. We do the Russian shower, just a little cologne and go.
What do they say? There's some guys that just have a zipper on their gear, and they just zip it down and they're done. Yeah.
The Frank Drebin.
That was the one.
Naked gun, you just pull the suit right
that was the one perk of only playing 3-4 minutes a game, is I didn't have to shower after the road games there and get right to the bar. But oh man, watching Toots run around in that building must have been awesome. I like it, I love it, I want some more of it. Is that what they used to play when you used to score there too?
That was the Tim McGraw song, yeah. And by the way, Nasher, I got to give you credit. You got some good tunes coming on in between periods here. I don't know who's writing your music, but
I was saying
that one Newfie song came on. Really took me for a trip down memory lane, like I was in George Street Festival there for a second.
If there was one guy who had good taste in music throughout my career, if you said
Uppy.
Get one guy's aux chord, it would be Uppy.
Really?
That was what drew you into music the way it did? Was it playing in Nashville that kicked things off, or were you always like that?
No, it was. I dated this chick. Her name was Asia. Biz, you might have met her at Bonnaroo when we brought you there back.
I met a few of them, Uppy.
Yeah. Well, this one was like a serious one back in the day, if you can believe it. She had this indie. She had this indie vibe, and it got me. It got me away from hockey, to be honest. I enjoyed going to concerts just as I enjoyed scoring goals, to be honest. And for me, like, it was always a release. A release was going to a concert, whether it was, a night before the game. To me, it was something that, like, some people might think of going to concerts and getting all crazy. Well, I could go to a jam band concert or, an indie folk band and chill and listen to great tunes, put myself in the right mind space, go out the next day and feel like I'm on cloud 9. So to me, music was a very healing thing. And Nashville was definitely that. The music festival world opened my eyes to just how much fun I had, watching live music outside. And
I got to do it once with you at Bonnaroo. It was one of the coolest things I've ever done. That was crazy.
Yeah, well, I know, and Biz, when you meet people and playing in the NHL, you meet so many great people, not around just as much around the rink as you do in the city that you play in. And I went to Philadelphia from Nashville, and it was a great music city. Like, Nashville was a great music city we obviously know that, but Philadelphia had this, like, it had great venues. It had a ton of, like, Live Nation people. Before Live Nation really took over the music world, the makings of it were there. The agency was there, and I was going to little tiny shows. I lived downtown. We had a good group of guys: Richie, Jeff Carter, Hartnell, Loops, and we all liked music. So we got to know a lot of musicians. We got to know a lot of producers and guys in the music world. And then the floodgates opened for this festival world, which, Lollapalooza, Coachella, Bonnaroo. It's like Bonnaroo, I went 8 years out of 9. And it was always during the Stanley Cup. So we would get there and we'd watch, whoever was battling. It was Chicago and Pittsburgh back in the day. They just win every cup in LA. But we would get there 4 days, no rules, no holding back. And, I just talked about how your career is you know, I played 16 years. It feels like it went by like that. When you're at a music festival, you're just having so much fun watching people be happy, dance around. From the moment you get there to the moment you got to leave. And I was always sad leaving. Like I wanted it to be 5 days. It's like guys are like licking their wounds, and I'm like, guys, can we just have one more day here? So anyway, that was how I always was. I have, you know, you guys know I got 5 gears, and I hardly reached the 5th. So.
Maybe 6.
Yeah. Oh, I've
Maybe
seen a few
6.
of them.
Yeah.
I've seen a
So
few of those gears.
Biz, the music world. I'm glad you got to experience that with us back in the day when we were like really rocking and rolling. Because
You guys were living, dude. You guys lived.
Yeah, that was when music too that was when music was not so influenced by, you know, culture as it was just the music.
That's fair. Now it feels a little.
No one was there like trying to dress like in black leather pants and get all weird.
They let the
was
music
just cool.
speak for itself.
It was just cool people, and then, you know, I got to touch on your guest that you just had, Todd Walsh, who's one of my favorite human beings of all time. I'm telling you, he introduced me to a gentleman. It was one of his buddies. This guy's a hippie amongst hippies. And this guy used to bring a microphone. So picture like 2010. He'd bring in these professional microphones and a camera to every show. And he knew everybody, so he'd go in the sound stage. So he'd be in the best spot for all the music and the sound. And he would videotape and record every like band that would come through Phoenix. And so I had all these raw, like, you call it DVDs back then, of just the most epic concerts. And it was all because of Walsh introducing me to this guy. And then I met Eddie Vedder's brother through Todd. I watched a ton of Pearl Jam shows with Todd. There's no better guy to stand in between the benches and you know, smuck it up with before the game than Walshy. So I love seeing that guy on. I'm glad you guys had him on.
Isn't that crazy?
I got to do one in Glendale. Pearl Jam did a show, and I was blown away by how long he performed for. I think he was on stage for like three hours and change. Like that's not a common thing. You get very few artists who are willing to stay up there for like 3.5 hours, and what an enjoyable show. And that's where you kind of just mentioned. I didn't realize how close Walshy was to Eddie and his brother. So it's pretty.
Because you hear people tell stories, right? You're like, oh yeah, whatever, as if you know him that well. Well, I watched Eddie Vedder play in this guy's backyard, and I sent a picture of Eddie and myself to Walshy, because Eddie sent this to Walshy, and I'm like, you actually know his name? And he's like, oh my God, like they are legitimate friends. Same with the Tragically Hip. Like we would go to concerts. I'll never forget in St. Louis, we went to a concert one night with Walshy, set it up. Tragically Hip's playing in front of like 100 people in St. Louis. And I'm like, this is one of the best Canadian bands ever to play.
That's crazy.
And we're going up to the stage. We're in the bus with the whole Hip crew, all because of Walshy. It's crazy.
He has an affiliation with U2 also, Walshy.
Yeah.
He knows U2, and
We got a lot of action going on right now, Uppy.
Yeah, boys, this is I've been watching the game with you guys. This is a man's game, Biz. This is a man's game. Willie's not holding back.
No.
I love that Lawson grabbed him. I mean, Lawson Krause, to me, I got to meet him at the BioSteel camps, Biz, back in the day with you. That guy's a warrior. He steps up at the right. He reminds me of Braden Shen. He always just knows when to fight. He knows when to stick up for his teammates. He's a guy's guy. I mean, I love it.
No, I know. We need a 7-6 Utah Mammoth win in overtime. That would be money. This is a tough bounce. Sergachev hits his left skate, and then kind of like an own goal. But
Uppy, what do you think of this Utah team? I know you like Biss. You're doing all the games. You're watching all the games. What do you think of this Utah team?
Are you guys behind me? That Wash just scored.
Yeah, we're ahead of you.
You're ahead of me.
6-4.
You know what I love, Walsh? Nasher. I love. I really like the way their D is now. I love the pickup with Weegs. I love the fact that they got guys that have won on the back end and that they play big. Come playoff time, you need guys to play big. Their youth, and we talked about this on the pod, Nasher. You did a great job with us this week, but you know their young speed, the way they create chances and play up the ice. You need your guys to play like that. This is the way the game has changed. And, you know, come playoff time, though, and this is a playoff team, the games get tight, Biz knows. The games get tight, and teams that adapt, and when they need to adapt now. You know, there's 10 games left. This is where you really, you know, you can't be playing 6-4 hockey games in the playoffs, for one. You don't want to because, you know, teams like the Oilers will eat you up. But I really like the team. I love what Ryan Smith has done there. It's exciting. Fans are going to love like competitive playoff hockey. It's going to be good for the city. And, I'm pulling for these guys down the stretch here.
I'll be another one for me. You were a part of the St. Louis Blues outdoor game. We have an outdoor game next year.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, what can you tell our fans here in Utah what to expect, the experience, and just everything that comes along with it?
Yeah, we were at Busch Stadium against the Hawks, and the Hawks at that time were as confident as any team in the NHL for reasons I don't even need to mention. I had a blast. My family came in. It was over Christmas. We had the Winter Classics. It was January 1st. Gretz was in town. I was having dinner. Gretz showed up. He came and sat down with Ty right at our table with my mom and dad, my brother. He started, shooting the shit with us. And just the overall lead up to a game like that. Everyone's got the date marked on the calendar. Guys like me and Biz are just hoping we're in the lineup, not getting hurt. We're like, God, got to make it to the Winter Classic game. It's going to be sick outside. But you know what? What a setting you guys are going to have. I mean, and that's part of why hockey should have always been in city like Utah and Salt Lake, is because the backdrop of the city is second to none. I'm a mountain town guy too now. My wife, has a place in Aspen.
How cool is it from the concourse here, just looking out and seeing
it's amazing. It's truly amazing. And for me, it's hockey. It's outside. It's snow. It's the winter feel. It's being cold going into the rink and knowing you're going to see these guys battle. It's going to be special. And I hear that little outdoor facility they got's pretty awesome. Is it, Nasher?
Oh, it's going to be insane. Like you said, you can't. It might be the best outdoor game that the NHL has ever seen. I'm not joking.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it should. I always said, and Biz, you're in TV. You guys talk about everything on TV. I've always said, a Winter Classic game needs to be just airlifted into some little lake in the middle of the mountains somewhere.
ODR style.
Yeah. Miracle on Ice. Just bring it in there, Mystery Alaska style.
They kind of tried to do that in Tahoe, and then the sun melted the ice. And then
I was at that game. That was during COVID. Dude, I was in shorts. It was like, and that golf course Edgewood is
it's
top notch.
That's the one they play for the Pro-Am, right?
Yeah, they play that AT&T or anyways.
Remember,
the Pro-Am.
Remember when McKinnon toe picked because the ice melted in the center ice?
He just tosses his stick in the bench I'm done. This isn't hockey.
Out of here.
The thing is the sun, and this is just, we should have figured this out.
Well, this is science.
Yeah, let's talk science here. Yeah. No, but the sun just beats down on that part of the lake for 12 hours a day. But you know what? They perfected the ice. I really think the ice has been great. We had a game in Florida this year, and they did a great job. It's going to be awesome. We're going to be there. It's going to be the date for the NHL next year. Everyone's going to have it on their calendar. It's going to be cool. I actually love that city, by the way. I love Park City. Oh. I love, like I said, I've been to a couple. Yeah, exactly.
Is it kind of like an Aspen?
This whole ski life, I didn't even know. I was too busy going to music festivals, but damn, they got this thing figured out. This, après ski. And
how would you describe Park City? Is it like Aspen? Maybe a little bit more.
No.
More like natural, more like Jackson, Wyoming. Or
yeah, I like it. They all have their little,
uniqueness.
That's a great word. Thanks for helping me out. Uniqueness.
Hey,
don't ask him how to spell it.
Yeah, no, I've been doing this long enough.
There's a Q in there somewhere. There's always a U following the Q, so I think I figured it out. I would say Aspen is top in the world, just because it's flat downtown. It's 6 city blocks. There's action everywhere. There's hotness to every corner you turn. There's great food. Park City is, it's built up on a hill. It's got an old school sort of cowboy town feel, Nasher, right? The way the buildings are. It brings you back into what you would think would be a Western town. It's got good food. The people are great. It's a great ski hill, and there's not much snowboarding there. I don't even think you can snowboard in Park City. Is that true, Nasher?
I think you're right. I think you're on to
Oh,
something.
I'm a skier.
I think
don't
it's
snowboard.
so you weed out all the guys trying to get up there and do backflips and just carve in front of you, and you're trying to just stay on your feet.
Peter's a snowboarder, so he says he can't go.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's the snowboarder, yeah. But then, and Jackson, Biz, you've spent some time there. I know you got a
I've
property
never
outside there.
skied there. I've steamed
it's
in
steep.
Aspen.
It's
Yeah.
steep. I'd
Yeah.
say start on those blue groomers there and
Oh, yeah.
take it easy.
Yeah, no. Actually, I picked it up pretty quick. I went with Sheldon, our buddy Sheldon Walitsky, who's done some amazing things there in Aspen. I'm drawing a blank here on what he started there.
The Colorado Extreme?
Colorado Extreme, and it's
Yeah.
just he gives back to his community in Elgibel. He built like a small rink, and then now it's obviously gotten bigger. He throws this like winter classic there every year with all the alumni and stuff like that. But he took me my first couple of times there, and that was is it Snowmass?
Yeah, so he has a little condo on Snowmass. He also has his castle.
Yeah.
There.
That's in
there
Elgibel, just outside of Elgibel.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's funny, Biz. You were the reason why our whole group ended up meeting Sheldon.
I ran into Loops downtown Aspen because me and Sheldon had connected when he donated to the ECHL Player Relief Fund, and then we kind of just kept in touch. But what a guy, and what he's been able to do there. That Aspen, that weekend there he throws is as good as any weekend. So, but that crew you guys had, man, you guys brought me to Bonnaroo, and you guys were always the best of friends. And oh my God, I can only imagine the stories that you guys have shared together. So it's Shane O'Brien, Joffrey Lupul, you got to throw Larry Flowers in there. Who else would you consider a part of that group? Like, who am I forgetting here? I mean,
you know what? We had a pretty great group here. Like, not so much hockey guys, although Penn's
PJ.
Not many hockey guys stuck around Newport Beach, which is shocking to me. It is expensive. That's why I don't have an office. I'm in my living room because I didn't score enough goals to basically have an office.
I've been in that house. You're doing just fine.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yes. So listen, we had what we call the OG Newport crew, which is a group of guys, and you know them well too, Biz, is like Big PJ, and we have Joe DeMarco and Stu and Pico. These guys they're a little bit older than us, but beach volleyball every day. We all got kids now and stuff, but we'd have July 4th parties, and I know you've been to a few of those. Yeah. We would have, the Memorial Day bash. We'd continue on to Labor Day, and it would be a place where like Mike Comrie would come down, Penner would be there. If Getsy was in town, he'd pop over. But Loops had this beach house that we used and abused for about 10 years. He still has it. In fact, Tyson Berry rented it last week with his kids. Lenny was there, and Braden Shen came over. Luke Shen came over. The human wrecking ball. He actually ended my career, ruptured my kidney, just absolutely murdered me. And we sat around, and I'm telling stories about what we used to do in this house, and it's remarkable that it's still standing. But for a 10-year run, there was no three guys in the NHL that did things the way we did. You
guys met Kevin Connolly. You guys were in Entourage. I think it was the movie you were in, right? Or what season?
Yeah, no, it was. We weren't in the movie. It was a clip out of the Ronda Rousey scene where she snaps.
Turtle.
She snaps Turtle's arm. Yeah, the scene was like 10 hours long. But Cons was always a great. Cons is a great man. Cons was one of our boys. Carcillo first met him. He's a huge Islander guy, and. We'd go up and we'd always crash his pad. He'd always say like, "Hey, doors open, boys." So no matter what time it was, we'd say, "Hey, he said doors open. We gotta show up there." But being an hour from Hollywood back in the day was probably the best and worst thing for us because, it was tempting to go up there for every event, every concert, every party. But we got to come back to Newport Beach where we live, where I still am, and golf, work out, be national leaguers, actually act like we are. But just be just outside the cusp of being in the jungle,
Unreal.
Did I lose you?
No, you didn't. The guy was talking to my ear, the producer, and I jammed up. I got jammed up, you know. It's like, it's unbelievable.
He had a jammer. He can't walk and chew gum at the same time.
And going back to what you just said, I think I did one July 4th party and one Bonnaroo, and I think it cost me about 3 years of my career. I think I took about, in dog years.
But you learned a lifetime of lessons, didn't you?
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
But going back to like Liam McHugh, it's remarkable. Like he could have a producer talking in his ear, and he's just like zipping, reading the prompter, driving the whole bus, and then I'm just like trying to get out a thought without butchering a word that's more than 2 syllables. And then the minute the producer starts talking, I'm like, I just freeze, like Anchorman style. So yeah, I'm still a rookie at this. Heater, what do you got? You got a question for Up
Well,
Dog?
I'm just enjoying the dialogue and the discourse between you guys.
I wish we could rip a bong right now. Heater's got one. Should we rip one? Grab it out of your bag.
I played off that lately, man. With 3 kids, you just start thinking too much now in my older days.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, in front of my eyes here,
Oh my God.
Look at them. They're showing this now.
Okay, so here's me and Dan Carcillo. We were obviously good buds. We lived together. Okay, I think he ends up getting here. My jersey comes over. Yeah. So this is like when the new kind of regime and new wave of hockey was coming, and they had a meeting with us before we started these inter-squad games. Hey guys, no fighting. No fighting in training camp. We don't want no fighting. We're going to be playing in these scrimmage exhibition games pretty soon, so we don't need to do it. Me and Carcillo, first scrimmage the next morning. That was like 8 a.m. The scouts haven't even gotten their coffee yet. They're just sitting down in their seats. And boom, we're going at it.
That's how you get noticed, though. The worst part about this, Uppy, and I know you've experienced it, there's no one in the stands, really.
Nobody.
And so you can hear, like, the punches,
Nobody.
you can hear them hitting the skin and the face, and you're like, ooh,
And Carcillo showed up to training camp with white grafts.
I loved him as a player.
Oh, yeah, he was so
great.
fun. His best year was in Phoenix, actually. He had 15 goals with Wayne as coach. And, oh, man.
I got traded for him, Biz. And
that's right.
It took me a year to go back to Philly, and so I never got to. I remember playing, and I actually didn't even get to play Nashville while I played in Philly. Long story. I was probably hurt, but my first game back in Philly, I'm with you, and it's first period. Fiddler comes in. It's an ozone play. Like I chip it through and I drive. And Fids comes in and he had no shot. Right, Fiddler couldn't even shoot. Shoots it right in the chest of the goalie. And I'm busting my balls to the net like hard, and I run over that Oscar Bertulis like pretty bad. It was a cheap shot. I'd get 10 games right now for it. I hit him kind of at the goal line. He flies into the end wall and he's hurt. Like I really felt bad. And the crowd they went from cheering me on because, the way I played in Philly, I think it was an enjoyable experience me going back. Although after this hit, the crowd was all over me. They were throwing shit in the box, and car bomb for the whole second and third period were chasing me around, and I just was going, there's no way I'm fighting you. Grab Biz. Like, I'm not fighting you. You're going to make a mockery of me.
You're way too pretty.
Yeah, I'm like, I can't, and I should have. And given, the way I look back on this now, Biz, and you fought, and you stuck your face in some of the toughest guys, dude. You fought everybody.
Well, so look at his face.
Wow.
I had like 7 fights.
I show for it.
Yeah. I had 7 fights, and like I got to choose most times which ones they were.
I would have thought you would have had more than that, Uppy, to be honest.
Yeah, no, like I call it a couple tussles, but nowhere that like full play stopped.
You were cutting deals for clubs after the game is what you were doing.
Yeah. Hey, you want to go golf? I got a good course. No, and I just remember Carbomb chasing me around. I'm like, I'm going to have to fight this guy in Philly. He's going to kick the shit out of me, and it's not going to be pretty. But no, we ended up being buddies, so cutting a deal. And I just vividly remember, like, Carbomb was tough, man. Carbomb played hard.
Gamer.
And he was a great hockey player.
That's right, yeah. He won one in Chicago. Maybe, did he get 2?
Did he get 2 cups, Uppy?
I think he did.
Carbomb? Maybe.
I think he got. I don't know. I think
he was on 2015, I believe.
About it, like his office. I think he's got 2 hanging behind his head there when he's dealing with him.
Wow. Some guys get it all, eh?
Hey, Uppy, what I remember, sorry, Biz.
No,
I
you're
remember
good,
about
you're
you,
going.
you had the really good hands, and you're a goal scorer.
Yeah, oh yeah, handsome guy.
But you also obviously engage physically, and maybe at the expense of production in your career, because unfortunately you were injured so many times. And I just wondered, what you could have put up in numbers if you would have been able to stay healthy, because you had a great shot and you're a natural goal scorer. And I mean, obviously you've thought about that, but I mean, your style was rugged, but yet obviously finesse as well.
Thank you. I only knew how to play one way. It was the way I learned as a kid, and I grew up as a smaller kid, so you had to kind of fight your way through it. But skating was a strength. I just didn't want to get beat in any facet of the game, and I loved hitting guys just as much as I loved scoring. I loved engaging, like in chirping, and Biz, you and I were some of the best chirpers from the bench. Going. It's part of the game I love and I miss. But yeah, heater. You know what? I wouldn't change it for a thing. I love going through the wall for my team at the expense of 2 kidneys, 3 knee surgeries, 3 hand surgeries. But I still managed to get 120 goals, so I'll take that. 2 conference finals, some great teammates, and things I can't say on this show. But yeah, I had time.
But what a time having. I think Ovi just got the hat trick.
A hat
Oh
trick.
Yes,
my
he
God.
did. A hat trick.
He's something crazy, boys. It's nuts.
We saw him
Has he
having dinner
played-
last
has he
night
played
beside
another
us.
I
year?
gotta
Like,
text the group chat. God.
Yeah.
God.
He's just a special, special human, man. What an aura this guy has. Like, he was sitting right next to us at dinner last night, Uppy, and I was like, look at that guy over there. Like, that's insane. He's just a mountain of a man. Over 1,000 goals in our
1,003
game.
now.
1,003 now.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, it was this time last year. I took my son to pregame skate. Wilson got me a pass downstairs at the Ducks here, and I went in and I said, I want to bring my little guy and get a picture with Ovi. And he came out and he had his hoodie on, in his undergear, and this guy was just a beast. I'm talking. His head was the size of a watermelon. His hands were massive. His legs and ass were just huge. And he came out with a stick and said, hey, Uppy, how you doing? How you been? You got a family? This and that. Signed a stick for my kid. Took a picture. And then, a week later, he goes out and breaks Gretzky's record like nothing happened. So
And you got
it's
that
like,
stick on eBay now.
that stick is getting authenticated, my friend. And yes, no, it's something. I mean, the picture alone, I just go back to being a kid, and it's all about kids now for me. It's like, how do you create these memories? Well, my son watches hockey with me. He's got pictures with McDavid and Draisaitl, or McDavid, Draisaitl, Connor McDavid, Ovechkin, and it's like memories that he's always going to look back on. These guys are legends, and what they're doing is changing the game and for the better. And I'm just glad that, Dad's able to hook him up with stuff like that. So that's what it's all about.
You're a great
You're a
teammate,
beauty, buddy. We
Yeah.
appreciate you doing this. Coyotes for life. Give us a coyote howl. Ow, ow, ow!
Folks, there you have it, buddy. My goodness, would I have loved you to take part of that in that interview. We had the Heat Dog, we had the Up Dog, we had Biz Nasty on the show. It was flying. And a big thanks to Scotty for telling stories, just open and honest. He was drinking the good stuff too on the pod. He had a nice bottle of white open. I was a little surprised. I thought he was more of a red guy, but he was banging down the white wine. Stories were flowing as usual. So ton of fun. He's got a massive personality. Yeah. We kind of played very similar, except he was a lot more skilled than I certainly was. But he was talented. He could hit like a truck, not a big guy either. And he could score also. He almost scored, I think he scored 19 goals when he was playing under Wayne Gretzky with the Coyotes back in the day. He's played on 6 or 7 teams. So he was a great guest. So thank you, Scotty Upshall, and Missing Curfew. Thanks for lending your boy out.
Was he the guy, or maybe this is a common thing, Tyson, but I thought I remember a story from him on Spit and Chicklets where he would like steal the ice out of people's drinks, and then if he got all the ice before you noticed it, you had to like chug your drink. Does that sound right? Or is that like a common thing? Have you heard of that?
I've never heard of that. I wish I had that intel going into the interview, folks. See, that's why I need you. I can't do it without you, buddy. That's why I need Fultz.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I had no clue. I've never even heard of that. That's
if you-
gross.
If you catch me with my fingers in your drink, I'm not doing anything nefarious. I'm just like trying to steal your ice and yeah.
Hey, I'd be careful.
I did that at bars. I don't know if that was him or not. I just remember.
I would be
story.
careful, Fultz. If you try that with me, I have dentures, buddy. Just so you know, I have dentures. So we're out drinking next time. Just wait till you see what ends up in the bottom of your glass on your last sip, and what hits your lips. It'll be my fake teeth.
Oh my God!
I have done that a few times. It is so nasty.
I'd be done for the night. I would be done for the night. I'd be walking home crying, and that's
almost worse than using someone else's toothbrush, right?
Oh, it's way worse. Yeah, I don't want your jibs in my drink. That's terrible. That's terrible. So some housekeeping things. We do have Fan Appreciation Night coming up on April 16th, so it's going to be some fun activations for that at the Delta Center. We also have our Next Gen game coming up on April 11th. Tyson, the Next Gen game is like, I don't think you've been in town for one, or maybe you have, where like kids are on the broadcast. It's kind of a game where kids are involved. They get to see behind the scenes and things like that. And last Next Gen game we did, the kid was on the broadcast and was awesome kid, right? So we have him on headset and like we're talking to him a little bit during the course of play. And he's really just supposed to like kind of sit there and be cute. Like I still got to call the game, right?
Yeah.
And he's probably like a 10, 12-year-old kid. And we're having a great conversation, but then the Mammoth come down on a breakaway, and like I can see him kind of like lurch into action, and he kind of like starts calling the breakaway, and I'm like, yeah, take it, man. And so he just basically like bodies me off the mic and calls the goal as it happens, like live on the radio. And I'm like, man, I had to wait like 3 decades before I got my first NHL goal call. This kid is like 10 and just bullied me off the mic, stealing my job basically. And he's like, goal! And like it was great. It was a great moment on air. It was funny, but I'm sitting there like, I just got like backhand toe dragged by this 10-year-old Next Gen kid.
That is awesome. I gotta find that somewhere, and I want to hear that. Because you don't mess around with play-by-play goal calls.
Right?
I know that. You get toe drag backhand. No, you get the backhand. Matt McConnell wanted to backhand me a couple times every time I talk over one of the goals or whatever, right? It's like, that's your calling card. That's what you guys live for, is the goals. So yeah, I get it.
It's our big moment. It's our big moment. And it's like this 10-year-old kid just kind of ripped it out of my hands. I was like, all right, man, like, Next Gen night, I guess. So I'll have the finger on the mute button coming up on April 11th. That'll be our Next Gen game. No, it was great. We had a couple kids call goals actually. It was a ton of fun. But fun stuff today, Tyson. And thanks again to Scotty Upshaw on the Spit and Chicklets Missing Curfew guys. Anything else before we send people on their way for the rest of their Wednesday?
No, even though we're donating the money, I had to beg. It's embarrassing, I know, but you know, keep telling your friends. Obviously, that's how we grow this thing. We got great stories, and you know, we're just a couple donkeys with another podcast, but we're having some fun doing it. The Utah Mammoth is at the head of everything we do, which is so fun. The season, and what I love, Fultz, is that when you do travel and you do some of the bigger networks, and you know, you're talking to other guys and broadcasters and color guys, everyone is just mesmerized by what this team is doing and has done this year. The ownership, the practice ranks. I mean, they want to know everything that's going on here. So you can, I mean, it's a place, right? It's a destination. Players want to be here. People want to know about it. And they're anxious to get here. So I know Scotty Upshaw is going to be in, coming to a game for sure at some point, maybe in the playoffs, he even said too, but for sure him and Shane Missing Curfew is going to come up next season and take part, check it all out. So I cannot wait.
Mammoth could potentially clinch a playoff spot this week as early as Thursday against Nashville. Now, that would depend on what some other teams do, but it could happen this week. So Utah is hurtling towards the postseason. So are we. on the Nashcast, enjoying every bit of the ride and enjoying getting to know all of you as well. We will talk to you next week right here on the Nashcast.